is a topic quite close to my heart. And the topic is about aligning your today with tomorrow. And the reason why I picked this topic, it's actually an address that I gave a short while ago. I studied at University of Pretoria in South Africa, initially engineering, metallurgical engineer, that's my profession. I did a master's degree there. And then some years later I also did a master's in music, and in between I had a management diploma. So in the 13 years that I've studied at University of Pretoria, and before that the 12 years that I studied at school, a total of 25 years that I have formally studied, there's a lot that I wasn't learned or taught. And well, maybe I'm a tough learner, maybe I'm not good at that, but that we just don't teach. And by the way, I also at University of Pretoria taught for 10 years a specific program in the music department. I was head of the music technology department there, and I introduced some concepts to my students while we were discussing stuff about acoustics and recording engineering, and we're talking decibels. There were some topics around it that I knew my students needed, and I'm going to share some of those concepts with you today to make sure that our students can match their today with tomorrow. As you can see, I'm slightly a few months older than 21, and well, yeah, I still learn every day. So let's get going. Now, I've got a slide here that plots level of innovation versus time. And you would see that there is a yellow line that describes technology innovation rate. And then there's a purple line that says how fast can people learn. And we find that roughly, and by the way, this is sort of anecdotal, this is not pure science, but roughly around about 2000-ish, we found that there's a crossover between how fast people can learn versus how fast technology is actually developing. Before 2000, well, people were learning faster than technology, so we had to manage technology and especially our people. So it was management, get the folks to do what they're supposed to do, done. Great, everything is controlled. Oops, after 2000, all of a sudden, people can learn at a certain rate, but technology has just run away from us. Moore's law is the sort of term that comes to mind. And all of a sudden, we find that normal management doesn't work anymore. And there's a requirement for leadership. And this creates, what this whole process actually creates is the concept of, and I've got it there written in small on the top right, it creates an environment that's volatile, uncertain, and ambiguous. We call it VUCA. Word that I'd like to teach my students. So here we go. So we've got an issue here. Now, as we go along, and let me just have a click, we find that before 2000, management was about getting our folks to be efficient. All of a sudden, after, well, not all of a sudden, it just happened, 2000, post-2000, it's not about efficiency anymore. We have to teach them how to be effective, and we've got to, leadership needs to apply and make our people more effective. Before 2000, when I studied, I wrote exams, and my exams were marked. How many mistakes did I make? It was about not being wrong. And if you are not wrong, you are right. And we find that after 2000, that doesn't hold anymore. So it is now about outcomes. Some rights are more right than others. Some outcomes are better than others. How do we optimize the outcome? So it's not about wrong anymore. It's about what is the outcome that we want and how do we optimize that. Okay, good. Let's carry on. And Before 2000, we had to know the answers, not to be wrong. Now we've got to know what's the questions. We live in a wonderful world. Things has changed. This is absolutely amazing. I've got other words that I can add to that, but it's absolutely amazing, and I love this. Before 2000, it was about doing. Now it's about thinking. We've got to train our students how to think. And if I'm a student, I've got to apply my thinking. The skills that I need to learn is the thinking skills that I need to employ. Quite an important part. Well, for me, how do we go about this? So, let's say you're a natural science student. What you need to do in any student, you build your career, you build a foundation while you study. So you would start at the bottom with, let's call it natural, human or commercial sciences. And now you have to add computing skills, of course. We post 2000, all sorts of things. And then you've got to develop a way for yourself to manage that knowledge. How do you manage that? And build on top of them. Now, these are all hard skills that you need to build. Then you have to build subject matter, domain expertise on top of that. That's all built within your undergraduate studies, usually, and postgraduate. And on top of it, yes, you have to do assignments and so on. You learn creative problem solving and project management skills. Great, yeah. Now I've got the skills, I've got my degree, I may even have a master's degree. I can now engage the work environment and be totally successful. Well, that is how I felt once I graduate I get my B degree in engineering. I said, yeah, engineering, here we go, I'm going to do it. Wah, wah, wah. I was so wrong. And I want to impart that to students because I didn't prepare my then today for the tomorrow that I was to face, which is right now. And I had to learn the hard way. Man, and just look at my face and... Oh, thank you. Now, there's a part here. You've got, I had all the hard skills, but there's a part called soft skills. Now, the problem with soft skills is it's wishy. What is soft skills? Yeah, people say it's EQ. Okay. How do we go about it? So, the way that I've formalized it for myself is, it is like a tetrahedron. If you like crystallography, you've got a tetrahedron. It's something with 4 sides, but it is hidden. For me, it was always hidden. It was this gray thing that I had to negotiate, and I had to figure out for myself now, what is this? Are people Marie, you've got to work on your soft skills. You know, do I have to speak softer? You know, do I have to be meek? And I had no idea because nobody really taught me. How do I engage people? How do I look somebody in the eye and say, congratulations, good day, sir, great to meet you. We were never taught that. Okay, here we go. So, now, if you take that tetrahedron of ability, as I call it, and I'll call it professional soft skills. And I find a lot of these you can actually teach from early on. And I try to do the same, teach my kids this. And when you open that tetrahedron, this is what you're looking at. Yeah, IQ, intelligence quotient, EQ, emotional quotient, XQ, which is execution quotient, the ability to execute, and then bringing it all together, AQ, the ability to adapt, adaptability quotient. Wow, okay, now we've got a model here. Those are the sort of dimensions, and I know if you're in human sciences, and especially in psychology, industrial psychology or HR, put it apart. This is Murray's model. Okay, it's fine. I can deal with it. These days I don't cry in front of people. But the important part is, whatever you build, soft skills, model, and dimensions you build, you've got to have appropriate balance in these and the hard skills. Remember, we had that brick wall or the foundation that we built. Have the hard skills and have the soft skills in balance. Make sure that if you are an educator, a professor, impart the hard skills, but also the soft skills to the students. Critical, they needed to survive in this world that we live. If they post 2000 and they've got to engage the world of work, they need those measured on effectiveness, not efficiency. So, another way to have a look at this, and of course I'm an engineer, I've got to draw a graph and so on, so this is continuum starting with discrete processes and continuous processes. Cool. Meaning that if it's in the sort of a technical area that you're operating in the workplace, discrete, it's usually transactional work being done. There is an XQ emphasis, and the emphasis also on you've got to know what you're doing, understand what you're doing, and it's about discovering. If it's managerial, but in the discrete environment, operational, it's about EQ, and it's about understanding what it's all about. How do we manage the discrete process and the people around it? And when both of them is managerial, or on a high level in terms of managerial and continuous, you've got to think and work strategically. You've got to take leadership, you've got to lead is important, and it's about AQ, your ability to adapt, because the world adapts all the time right now. Yeah. So, now I'm being asked, Murray, you've got this triangle. But what do I teach my students? Oh, or I'm in the workplace. I'm busy doing an MBA. How do I get these? I do not find any course curriculum that says, okay, now we're going to address today it is IQ, EQ, and XQ, and all of those things. So how do we go about it? Well, I'm going to give you some ideas. And this is not the end-all and be-all, but it gives you an idea how to approach it, especially with your students. And by the way, do it to your kids as well. It's good. And if you're a student, start doing this. Here we go. The first one is IQ. Remember, we said it's about discovering. Teach them critical thinking. Information design. How do we show information? Systems thinking. Thinking in terms of systems. A good guru about systems thinking was Peter Senge, and his book, The Fifth Discipline, especially the field book. It's got pictures. I like the field book. It's much better. It's very nice pictures. Where the normal textbook just got words and so on, and I get confused with words. Remember, I'm an engineer. I've seen pictures. Sorry? Yes? Absolutely. I would throw typical design thinking around this. Absolutely makes sense. But these are the sort of topics that need to be explored there. Please add to it. If you look at EQ, it's about understanding, personal mastery. Awesome. Getting to understand who I am, why do I react in the way that I react in certain situations. Crucial conversations. How do I know when I sit in front of a certain person, whether it's his sales, whether I'm negotiating with my boss for that raise? Yeah, I'm getting a raise this year. How